Welcome to the Fancy Thinker. I'm Jared Kodomich, and today we're going to be doing a quick review of The Book That Broke the World by Mark Lawrence. This is book 2 in the Library Trilogy. The Library Strikes Back. uh, yeah, silly Star Wars reference. All right, so in book 2 here of the Library Trilogy, Mark Lawrence brings us back into this amazing world where a library is at the center of it all. It's a book about a magical library. Once again, how can you pass it up if you love books as much as we do, right? Um, and the action picks up soon after the events of the first book. And this time we are introduced to some new characters with a great backstory. The new characters are named Kelcha, I think, and her brother Hellet, and their story is woven into the tale, or kind of connected to the tale in some ways of Lavera and Eva from the first book, the book that wouldn't burn, um, and it's in a interesting and subtle way that their tale is connected, and it's really beautifully done. And they give us these new characters. They give us this new perspective from both a social status and racial outlook that we haven't had yet. And so their story in here is what leads to, in the beginning of the book, is what leads to major events further on in the book and gives us a new appreciation for the events in the first book as well. So it was all tied together lovely. A lot of great plotting going on here. I think that's safe to say that it's really plotted well, and I like how he's tying everything together. Right in the first few lines of the book, we are told that every one of us is trapped, and that's a theme that's running throughout, and it goes from the obvious to the maybe not so obvious. The obvious is the fact that our new characters are slaves, and so of course trapped. And the not so obvious is the strands of fate that seem to tie all the characters into certain roles they don't seem to be able to escape. And this is particularly relevant near the end of the book, where some almost like metafictional aspects become present. Um, and because Lawrence seems to continually reference literary history, and the characters within the story seem to be acting according to some literary archetypes, while somehow still retaining their individuality and succinct characteristics that make them such fascinating characters to start with. And this does not seem like an easy balance to maintain while giving us, like a gripping tale with plenty of action. And we care about these characters' fates while knowing they may not have much of a choice in their fate, being as trapped as they are. Um, so another heavy theme running through the book is the dangers of the misuse of technology. Um, and so, technology is the result of the accumulation of knowledge put together for the purpose of achieving certain goals. And knowledge is accumulated in a library. So you can kind of see where that theme can take us in a book about a magical library. And you kind of get little cracks and hints about um, the societies that have gone on, because there really is a big span of years that the story, especially the story in the background, covers with reference to this library. So I'm getting a little sense that what may be magical may be scientifical in some other aspects. So he's really blending stuff here, Lawrence, and it's just done in a great way. That's super fun. There are still a bunch of open questions that hopefully will get resolved in the third book. There are some characters that were introduced briefly, just mentioned in the first book, or introduced briefly, who played a bigger role here in the second book, but still somewhat behind the scenes. And I was kind of like thinking about that as a story, that tactic as a storytelling vehicle, and I was like, I wonder if I like that or not. And but then I realized, it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the tale whatsoever. So I guess it worked. um, the library itself is, of course, still deliciously mysterious, and we've got maybe a few hints as to its origins and purpose, and those hints seem to be leading to some kind of resolution in book three as well. You know, maybe, hopefully, but that's an assumption on my part, and of course, we all know how assumptions can end up. Anyways, I can't get much more into this without getting into spoilers, but to say that this book and this series, the Library Trilogy, is a great read so far. Hopefully, the book that broke the world will break your world in the best way. And that's all for today. As always, be good to each other, and thank you.